it's looking certain that Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera is leaving.
I'm saying overreaction. I might be swimming against the tide. I'm saying Nasiah is staying at St Kilda and will sign a contract and stay with the Saints.
That would change things immeasurably.
We'll just roll the tape on that. With no, I'm saying he's staying. I think they might announce it this week. Wow. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be big.
So I've got no reason to say that, Gerard. Just a gut feel.
Okay.
And I hope that he does. What about St Kilda making a mess of the off-season before it's even begun?
Also, it depends entirely on what you've just put forward. So I'll put an asterisk.
Okay.
It's a provisional reel. Because once in the public domain, Cal Wilkie, heart and soul player, once his grievances are aired, I think that's your signal, was we haven't kept everybody together. Now, it doesn't mean it's irretrievable. You'd have to be inside to understand that. But they do, if they lose Windhager because they were inattentive, who knows whether that happens. If they lose Wanganeen-Milera because somebody got in the door, if they're going to dispense with players like Marshall and Steele, how does that end up looking? So it's delicate and we'll know during the trade period, but you hate it when a player like that, when those grievances are made public and there are multiple sources, yeah, OK, so that's real.
What about if they get the Koning, they keep Marshall, they keep Wanganeen-Milera, they keep Windhager, they attract one or two?
Yeah. And that's it. That's the dream, isn't it?
That's your job.
You've got to get net gains out of this period of time.
So it's a big week.
Now, John, you brought us the first story around the unrest at St Kilda. Some significant player anger there. You told us on Friday it's developed significantly since then, but tell us, just how far does this actually reach within the walls of Moorabbin?
Hello, guys. So it's not a player exodus just yet, but it's a state of affairs that certainly impacts the club's captain in Jack Steele and its vice-captain as well in Cal Wilkie. So there's multiple players on the brink of considering leaving a club that needs to bring in talent, not lose it. Now, senior players are worried that Jack Steele will be part of the collateral damage. This is a club that is making massive offers to the likes of Tom Niconing, Leclerc and Harley Reed. They just need to clear cap space. He wants to stay. He believes in the future, but he signed a deal at the very top of the market as a dual All-Australian, and right now he's probably not worth that in terms of output. And so what concerns his teammates is whether the club desperately needs him. Are they prepared to just lure him out there in the trade period? Yes, with some deniability, but look for offers for him. So St Kilda needs more talent. Everyone understands that. Scotty, they need to keep their culture as well, and that's a really important driver. This bloke is their captain, and again, Cal Wilkie is their vice-captain.
They haven't looked after their backyard, have they? So explain the Cal Wilkie thing and the Leclerc to us, please.
So Wilkie won't leave the club, and he will say so at the next opportunity. I'm contracted for 2 years and I'm happy where I am. But he was certainly bemused at the fact that these outrageous deals were rolling around. So here's the issue. The players that are potentially and almost certainly coming in, they're getting worried as well. TDK is desperate to play alongside Rowan Marshall. He wants him to stay. I think we all expect he's going down the highway to Geelong. So one of the reasons is, yes, he wants to play ruck with him, but he doesn't want to be public enemy number one. Rowan Marshall's such a popular figure. He's been at the club through thick and thin, and all of a sudden TDK comes in and he leaves. Alia's similarly worried. He'll come to the St Kilda Football Club, but he wants to play with Cal Wilkie. He wants to be the third banana, not the number one banana on big dollars and massive expectations. Scotty, what's your view on a pretty worrying situation all round?
The issue is they should have been ahead of this. We all know that. Getting players in, players understand that. You need more talent to improve. Of course we get that. But they haven't sold this vision early enough. Rowan Marshall only found out last month that TDK was a lock. So you had to, other clubs, and you've got a great example, Brad Scott at North Melbourne. What did he do during that era?
So basically, at the start of every season, he'd say to his senior players, we need to bring young talent in and we need to bring elite talent. And yes, it's on outrageous fortunes. So they offered money to Heaney, to Dustin Martin, to Josh Kelly. They missed out on all of those. But what he said to those players is, if you want to be in this premiership window, we need to offer big bucks. And I think Cal Wilkie has been told the same thing. You know, you will not win a premiership at this football club unless we can get serious about these things. NAS Wanganeen-Milera is a weird situation. So they're negotiating in good faith, and they think the fact that they are negotiating still, that he hasn't just put that deal off, is a positive sign. He's told some of his teammates, look, if I left, and that's an if, I'd go to Adelaide. And they're like, hang on, what about your best mates in Jace Burgoyne and Jason Horne-Francis? And he said, well, it's a small enough town. If I was to go, I'd win a flag. I'd try and get to Adelaide. So, look, there are so many swirling rumours. There is so much speculation around about Marcus Windhager as well and whether he's disgruntled. It's a crazy old story. It still could have a happy ending, but there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, there certainly is. And typically in these scenarios, when it's getting this loud in newsrooms and on social media, you can only imagine what it's like there. Of course, it seems like they're firmly in the race for Harley Reed as well. There's some huge figures being thrown around there. I mean, how all in are they really in joining the queue for his signature?
So they're potentially the stalking horse. So clearly he's being told that, or West Coast's been told, well, you need to find $2.2 million a year. Now, none of the other Victorian clubs are near that. I think West Coast creeping towards about $1.7 million a year. That's the mail right now. They're certainly not prepared to offer over $2 million. But if you're St Kilda and you know that it's Hawthorn or us, you have to offer crazy deals. And so, again, that would require extraordinary sacrifices. I think that really only works for them if they do lose NAS, wanganeen-milera with all the picks they get. So I don't think they'll get Harley Reed, but we know they've offered nearly $2 million to Matty Rowell, $1.7 million to Finn Callaghan. Like
it's crazy.
It's preposterous money.
What's the timeline with Harley? We know he's got another year at West Coast. Are you telling me maybe October the world could shake up around Harley Reed?
I still think West Coast will come to the table and they'll get close enough to that $2.2 million. The Victorian clubs who are very keen, clubs like Essendon, have been told he will stay in Perth. He just wants that guaranteed money. So I couldn't tell you, where that gets to, whether it's 1.7 or 9, whether it's 9 years rather than 11. But the really strong starting point is that he wants to stay. And I think from that point on, West Coast gets a deal done.
You talk about what the club need to do there, Scotty. The power brokers could have a bit on their hands dealing with the players that are already there with these sort of numbers that are flying around, couldn't they?
It's crazy. It is crazy. Seriously, it's getting more out of control, Ralphie. We love it because it's our job and we thrive on it, but it is getting insane.
Harley's teammate, of course, Liam Ryan, you're reporting tonight, John, is gaining a bit of interest from Melbourne too, so he might not be the only one coming east.
Yeah, that's right. So Josh Barnes says Port Adelaide is now a consideration as well for him. So there's a couple of factors there. Certainly he's turning 29 at the end of the year. He's got 1 year in his contract. He was involved in a bit of a scuffle at the start of the year in which he was exonerated for. There's a couple of cultural factors there where it might be time for a fresh start for him. And so West Coast is open to that. They're not doing a lot of contract extensions right now. So if you're St Kilda, they're really keen to build their Indigenous representation there. If you are Carlton, you're thinking,
I like this. Liam Ryan, I was surprised he was only 29. It feels like he's been around for longer. He has got upside for 2 or 3 years. With a new, fresh start, I'd be doing... Carlton, we mentioned Carlton. Graham Wright loves small forwards. He hasn't really got any of great value there. Ooh, go to Carlton.
And with amazing ball delivery, maybe not at Carlton, but better than West Coast. I tell you what, he's an immediate game changer. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And as you say, only 29. I was shocked when I read that. Another who did get a new deal this week, of course, was Darcy Cameron, the Collingwood tall. He's officially put to bed that he won't be going anywhere. Another 3 years for him. But how close was he to returning to WA? Sorry, I should say. John, take us inside that deal.
I don't have to tell you that the Collingwood fans were very angry. They felt any talk of disharmony was
You did have some feedback, it's safe to say.
I had some very strong feedback. We're used to that. He had a foot out the door. So what happened was he always wanted to stay. We've repeated that a lot of times, but he felt disrespected. So his camp parked the contract about 2 weeks ago. They said, we'll get to the end of the finals, we'll get him to West Coast. Now, in the end, he sacrificed about $1.3 million for that deal. But so what happened was, as he knew that he had his contract parked, a lot of his teammates were really strong. We need to keep Darcy. We feel like he's being treated unfairly. Collingwood felt like this was a distraction. They lost for the 4th time in 5 games against Adelaide. The next morning, email through a 4th year on that contract. So it's not an enormous contract, but it's a lift from what the deal would have been, $550,000 next year. It's a good scenario all round. Collingwood potentially can just move on from the distraction, Scotty. It's a quirky result.
It is 1A in the crisis handbook here, seriously. They're in crisis. They saw what happened against Hawthorn. What can we do? Hang on, here it says. Sign favourite son, Scott Pendlebury, to 1 more year. Oh, no worries, we'll get that out. Sign popular ruckman who teammates love for an extra year, get him on board. It's classic, it's genius, it's deflection, it's trying to get the goodwill going back into that club because they lost it there for a few weeks.
Don't say that, Scotty, you might get a phone call.
I'm going to get a phone call, but that's the truth.
And you know what? He wanted to stay. All the Collingwood players want to stay. It's just about how much money they have. And so that's the best thing for the Pies. They've got hugely loyal players who are now being rewarded.